Alright everybody, I'm very glad to say that we are getting closer to the end of Season 5, even though we're up to Episode 8 of Season 9, so I still have some catching up to do, but hopefully by the end of this mini-mester I will be finished, because today is only Monday, and then I have one more episode after this, and then I have the season finale, and then Season 5 will be finally be over. I cannot believe that it took like 3 years of my college life to get through one season. I guess I was doing a pretty crappy job on that front. But since this mini-master has been helpful, well, we're getting through these episodes much quicker. So next up, we have the Hoofields and the Mccolts. So this episode starts off with Fluttershy doing her animal book club, which kind of makes me wonder how well if animals can learn how to read or write. But then again, better logic than the Beauty and the Beast remake.
Hooray! I love Furry Friends Book Club.
I think it's just kind of a coincidence considering I am taking a literature class, and that's sort of in the case of kind of a book club, except we get to choose out children's books instead of reading chapter books. But during this, we find out that guess what? Fluttershy's cutie mark is glowing, and thus she heads over to Twilight's castle, where Twilight gets the same thing.
So much better going with a friend.
So as you can probably tell, this is the third and final episode where the map is relevant in terms of friendship problems. It's just like what I said in the last review of how the first adventure was all of the main 6, then the second one was just with Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, and then the previous adventure was with Rarity and Applejack. And so we have now finally gotten to the last one that, as everyone expected, is going to be just with Twilight and Fluttershy.
Since the map called us? But that happened 5 minutes ago. I know, but I want to be 100% prepared. I mean, I'm a friendship. How would it look if I couldn't solve a friendship problem?
Pretty bad for one thing, and second, I would say over-prepared. It's pretty much the equivalent of level grinding non-stop in an RPG for a boss you got stuck on, but then just level grinding non-stop, and by the time you think you're ready, you just manhandle it. So they basically discover that they're going to some mountain.
Valley is all of Equestria, between its 2 majestic mountain peaks. That's gorgeous. Where there's nature, there's a ton of animal friends. I can't wait to get started. I'm a little nervous since that's all I can find. I usually like to be a bit more prepared. You seem prepared to me.
Yeah.
Are those for us? Yes, I prepared our things. Snacks. Books, blanket, books. You said books twice. There are a lot of books.
Are all these books necessary? And apparently they weigh the equivalent of 85 tons on your back.
What do you think our friendship problem is?
So fast forward to getting into the hot air balloon because they realize, oh yeah, we kind of have to carry all this stuff and we can't fly with them on our back. And we find out that the mountain is not in pretty good condition. Or they can fly. Wait, why didn't Twilight just use magic earlier? And thus those books are lost to the sands of time. And as we can see, the mountain is not as peaceful as the books describe it. How about going over to the ponies who are probably firing pumpkins at you and telling them to stop? Or just telling them to stop?
Ready?
and thus we are entered of the rednecks. Okay, that's a bit stereotyping, but basically this is one of the families that our title of the episodes refer to. These are known as the Hoofields.
Hi. Hello. Excuse us, but what are you doing? We're talking in our neighbors.
There's...
Yes, but, why are you asking my neighbors?
Well, because the Mccolts are just plain rotten. Hey, wait a second. Who are you two? You're not spies for the Mccolts, are you?
You would know about it, but you just met them. And we don't even know who the Mccolts are like. But yes, basically as you can see, the Hoofields and the Mccolts, the two names that were mentioned in the title, are basically the name of families.
I am Twilight and Fluttershy, the princess of friendship, and I'm here to solve your friendship problem. I'm Fluttershy. I'm here too.
Because you're just here.
Pleased to meet you, but you're wasting your time. We don't have a friendship problem. We have a problem. And there's absolutely no friendship there.
Well, maybe there could be if we figure out what the Mccolts did to make you so mad.
Oh, they've done so many things. Why, just today, they shot houses at our farmhouse and wrecked it.
Must not have been sturdy houses.
Not very good building, so all it took was a little pebble. But still.
So you may have noticed that this episode also has animals that are basically almost being...
I know what to do. We're going to talk with these Mccolts and hear their side of the story.
So, as you can probably tell, as some reviewers have pointed it out, this episode has a lot of glaring resemblances to the Avatar The Last Airbender episode, and been considered to be the most universally hated episode, which, in my personal experience, I didn't think it was all that bad. Well, anyways, basically this episode has a lot of resemblances to the episode The Great Divide, where basically two families hate each other for something that's trivial. They try to get different sides of the story.
We have all the facts. We can put an end to this using reason and rationale. Good plan. That's a sheep princess. In the meantime, could you please call us something?
Oh, all right.
Hey! Come on, Fluttershy.
And thus we meet the Mccolts.
Your business. Don't even bother. They're probably spies for the Hoofields.
Honestly, I think this would be a good opportunity to put in the Monty Python French taunter, but then again, this is...
Wait, you're Helicorn. I thought just three princesses were Helicorns.
How long has I been at this war? Horror. I'm surprised that nobody has told these families that there's a fourth princess now. Oh, have they just been going at this war for like ages and they didn't realize it? I'm surprised nobody has even told her. Which also kind of makes you wonder, going back to Tarek almost destroying the world. Did he not even bother to go to these ponies? Or are they just like, oh, those I'm going to take over Equestria, but, oh, wait, those ponies don't matter. They have their own problems to deal with. But I got to focus on the princess. Like, seriously, Tarek just ignored them while they were just busy just throwing food at each other?
When did that happen? And how did the Hoofields come by a princess spy?
Okay, there's a difference between caution and paranoia.
They're not spies. Why is every pony assume we're spies?
Considering that they're ponies that you just met.
Because we don't get a lot of visitors.
Well, maybe it's because you constantly claim everybody to be a spy and you drive them out. Maybe that's why.
I'm Big Daddy McColt. He caught us in a weird time. We're in the middle of town. You with our terrible neighbors.
And apparently Father Mccolt has the voice of Sonic Boom! Seriously, does he have the cry of Black Canary?
Well, actually, that's why we're here. To solve your problem with the Hoofields.
So you're here to help us get built.
No, that's not what I meant at all.
Well, if you ain't for us, you're
She's a witch! Burn the heretic! And
We are not on any pony's side. We're here to help them become friends again.
well, that's gonna be hard. I don't believe we've ever been friends with the Hoofields.
I just really like Father Mccolt's exaggerations every time he says Hoofield. It just cracks me up.
But you could be. They're just really upset you ruined their farmhouse.
Well, won't admit it. We only did that because the Hoofields pulled the pin out of our wagon wheel. A whole week's worth of food rolling down the mountain. Us Mccolts are mighty fine too, but we don't know the first thing about farming.
So, as you can probably tell right off the bat, basically, both families have the skills that the other needs. The Mccolts are good at building, but they're bad at farming. The Hoofields are good at farming, but they're bad at building. Basically, each family has one skill that the other needs.
We have to travel a ways away to buy our food.
It kind of makes you wonder how exactly do they get money in this place if they just keep chucking stuff at each other? And possibly giving Sonic Boom noises.
Now, we'll be stuck in the pumpkin the Hoofields launched at us. Pumpkin bread, pumpkin soup, pumpkin quesadillas, pumpkin pie, pumpkin cheese, pumpkin pie, pumpkin frittatas.
Or pumpkin chipletas, or some crap. I'm avoiding that joke. Oh yes, and this episode also shows that the animals are trying to scamper food. Gee, I wonder if the animals could be related to this scenario in any possible way.
Have you tried meeting at a neutral location, talking about your problems, and really listening to each other?
What? No. They sooner lost their dinner than to listen to us.
Well, don't listen to me. I'm an impartial third party.
Yeah, the last time an impartial third party tried to tell somebody not to fight each other, that was back in Fire Emblem Fates, and it did not end well at the start of Revelations when both families wanted to kill Corrin. Yeah, it's not going to work there, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to work here. And so, because of this, basically the Hoofields launched tomatoes, and just as I thought. Kind of makes you wonder where Twilight sensed it. I think it's because if she knows that his Discord ate the papers and keep comments floating around, she'd probably just send them to his dimension for him to eat it.
If you smush them tomatoes in the slingshot, they won't break on you.
That sounded really savage-like.
What are you doing? I asked you to stop fighting.
Oh, is that what you were hollering about? We thought the Mccolts rubbed you the wrong way. Only tomatoes before you. My mistake.
Okay, and apparently the Hoofields are also bad at hearing.
Stop the tomato slingshot!
And then the Mccolts fire something to relaunch onto slingshots.
Not to worry. I'll just, find the root of the problem and work from there.
Yeah, because that worked so well the first time.
Ma, do you remember what started this whole feud in the first place?
Which is what exactly?
I know what they did.
I'm starting to think neither of you know feel done.
Sure we do. Them Hoofields did us a grave injustice some time ago for some reason.
Yeah, for some reason is not a good explanation. You know, at least he's as bad as the Great Divide was in Avatar. At least each side of the family gave a legit explanation of why both sides hated each other. It's basically the equivalent of just dragging the explanation out.
Hey, back up. Maybe we common ground that you guys.
Yeah. Okay, and if I have to say something positive about The Great Divide, which, as I said, is the most universally hated episode of Avatar The Last Airbender, that is not a good sign. So the Hoofields decide to bring a cake to them as a sign of friendship, but take a guess what's happened. It's basically the Trojan horse equivalent, and they basically go in full-on war. It seems that they were prepared for the betrayal, and I'm surprised that turnips can can slash into frosting. And thus the two families start to. So yes, this friendship problem is not going well right now. This friendship quest is not going too well. Okay, that was pretty funny. But then again, it kind of makes you wonder how long that the Hoofields and the Mccolts have been going at this. It almost kind of makes you wonder how pretty much every single pony in Equestria has kind of ignored them. Like, what's up with that? So, because Twilight realizes, oh yeah, nothing's really worked, she basically falls apart and just rips her boat to shreds. But Fluttershy is able to get information out of the animals, and they basically explain what the whole deal is.
There isn't enough food here for you. Oh, Flowers, and you're freezing. I'm going to take you all home with me and get you all hot cocoa. How do you feel about book club?
I don't get it. This is supposed to be the most beautiful valley in all of Equestria. What happened?
And basically, one of the squirrels finally gives an explanation.
What's that? Oh. Twilight, they know what happened here.
Yeah, so the animals are finally going to tell us. A mere 16 minutes in, because we obviously need something to resolve this plot. Oh wait, we still gotta get to the fighting first, and Twilight apparently stops everybody, and Fluttershy plans the story.
Smoky Mountain, we knew it would be something special. So they made a promise to each other to protect and preserve the valley for always to secure the sturdy inhabitants. But they didn't agree to Hasbro about it. Rob wanted to start by planting crops so that everybody would have something to eat.
And apparently eating dirt was a solution to that. But then again, dirt does sound tastier than eating rats.
But Kyle thought it was better to start by building a shelter to protect them against the cold and wind. The two puppies were unable to come to an understanding, but Kyle went ahead and built the shelter anyway, exactly where Rob was going to start his farm.
And thus that basically to the two ponies of just sabotaging each other, and that led to an all-out war and destroying the mountains. And also because that this started a long time ago, they obviously died of old age. Again, it kind of makes you wonder, did they just keep throwing this stuff, everything, and just till they died? Well, that's kind of messed up. But yeah, much like with the Great Divide, basically the families hate each other because of their great ancestor through a misunderstanding. Because of an interpretation of the story that was told to them as the families had a misunderstanding. I'll look at this episode this. At least it doesn't have the main characters lying about the whole story to solve the revolution.
You see, by fighting, you're destroying the very thing that brought you here in the first place. It's time to put your differences aside and come together. If not for yourself, then for the sake of me, human cuddly guy.
I'll give the episode this. At least it doesn't make the main characters look like liars, at least.
Shucks. We never meant to hurt you, little critter.
Yeah, we're sorry.
They say they accept your apology.
Brickhead, you can unfreeze us now.
It's also a little awkward for some of us, considering how close we are, in more ways than one.
Ma, Hoofields, we promised we won't fight you no more.
Us too. Except we promised not to fight you. I suppose it doesn't matter who's right. We're both wrong.
That's one thing we can agree on.
Kind of makes you wonder if anybody does like the spitting on the hand in a handshake later. I don't know if anybody does that anymore. So yes, the problem then gets resolved.
Wonderful. I am so proud of you two.
Oh, thanks, Princess. Though I would.
And before they basically go into the tantra of just fighting each other, they basically decide not to, and they actually do help make the mountain a lot better by using the skills that they're really good at. Of which the Hoofields basically using their farming abilities and the Mccolts with building shelter. And they work together to make the mountain a better and peaceful place.
Sure is. The Mccolts are gonna help us rebuild our home. Good time.
And the Hoofields are gonna help us grow some crops. Now, cookies.
Thanks for teaching us that friendship is so much better than winning silly arguments.
Which pretty much almost escalated into war on vegetables that apparently mush into frosting. And thus, the cutie mark glows, signing that they solved the friendship problem.
We did. And we didn't need my friendship portfolio to do it.
Yeah, it's called adapting. That's what good leaders do.
We just need each other. So, what do you think will happen next? We've all been called by the map now. Well, I'm sure we'll find out. Some six of us to another place. Or another pony we weren't expecting. Some other kinds of problems.
Well, as far as the map stuff, Twilight, we're going to have to wait another season because this episode is the last episode of the season where the friendship match is even used. Until a plot point in the season finale, but we're not there yet. Anyways, that was the Hoofields and the Mccolts, and it was average, I guess. I'll say this much, the episode was a lot more interesting than the last episode because, for one thing, it actually gave me material to and I can basically understand the material of basically the story of the Hoofields and the Mccolts, even though hearing their side of the story took about a lot of dragging out, and then we had to find out what was the problem until the third act. Oh, I wasn't really fond of that. And as I said, because this episode takes a lot of familiar elements from other TV shows episodes, as I mentioned, the aforementioned The Great Divide, this episode becomes predictable relatively fast. There's a lot more materials that made it enjoyable, and even though I skimmed through it, a lot of the war scenes actually do make it like classic fighting, and I kind of like that. And Ma Hoofield and Grant and Daddy Mccolt they're good characters at least. Not the best I've seen, but they're at least enjoyable in their own right. And I guess maybe in terms of the families getting over a long-standing feud, I understand it's like a 22-minute show, but the thing is that it does take a lot more time to fix the problems for something that they got. And again, it was a silly argument, and I guess that can be related considering that getting over silly arguments in like a day can be easier said than done. I guess what I'm trying to say is that the episode is decent in its own right, but I think because the episode has like a lot of familiar elements in other mediums that we've seen before, you can pretty much pull out like the plot points like probably after like the first 5 minutes or so. But that being said, it was a lot more interesting than in the previous episode, but I think as a whole, it's kind of hard to explain it. I guess maybe this is just one of those episodes where it's just like if you just turn your brain off and not think about it too much, you can actually enjoy it. As long as you don't think about it too much. But as a whole, I would say the Hoofields and the Mccolts would probably be C+. It's not the greatest episode, but not the worst. It just has a lot of familiar elements in from other mediums that's honestly been done better before, but this was a decent interpretation. So, yeah, overall, the Hoofields and the Mccolts get a C+. And with that, the ending is in sight. I can just taste it. Next time, we'll be looking at the main attraction where I have been saving myself up for a rant for a certain character that I have just been dying to rip into a new one. But that will wait until next time. So, next time, I will see you guys in the main attraction. See ya!